Hello and welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. I'm him. Yeah, I am. Today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234 to kick things off. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Crazy Mike, I look around and there's this guy, Ken Rosato. What the heck?
Look at that. There he
How did
is.
that happen? Give me a
Uh,
salami sandwich and call it a day.
Speaking of days, what a difference a day makes.
Oh
From
my God.
yesterday at this time, when it was pouring, raining, you saw things floating by on the street that should not be floating, and yet we had so much rainfall in such a short amount of time with the amount of moisture that was in the atmosphere. Today, a whole lot of sunshine, so a very different scene waking up across New Jersey this morning. And that's going to be the case all afternoon. Bright, beautiful sky as all of these clouds remain to our south, and the showers that are, well, technically in the forecast for tomorrow, they hold off for just one more day. So the cold front did its job, clearing out the humidity, also making it feel more comfortable. It just lasts today because by tomorrow morning, we're back to some clouds, bringing in some showers, slight spotty variety, but you'll definitely feel the humidity and heat on the rise, specifically through tomorrow and Thursday, with it more clear sky on the way to wrap up Friday. Friday looks beautiful, but it will feel so much hotter by the end of the weekend. Until that time, after today, we're back to a little bit of a gray sky with some clouds as this pattern keeps us under the cloud cover for much of the rest of the week after today. But it's all due to the steering high pressure that's allowing for record heat down in the desert southwest, and that means cooler temperatures up north. Speaking of what should be the peak of hurricane season, we've been keeping an eye on these blooms of Saharan dust that have been coming off the coast of Africa, and this is kind of the birthplace of where a lot of the hurricanes would typically form this time of year. There's a whole lot of nothing because this dust is like a hurricane killer. Can't get any movement or convection in the atmosphere. In addition to that, we also have quite a bit of the wind shear, which tends to blow the cloud tops off. So a lot of things working against hurricane season, basically in our favor, but that's typical as we start off the rest of the year with a El Nino and a super El Nino projected, which also means less hurricane activity again.
Look at the little Nino. Hey. I try to be nice to it, and then it bites me in the ass. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happens with El Nino. All right. Very much, sir. Appreciate you. And we will be checking back in a little bit. It is 67 degrees northern New Jersey right now. And we have, what is it in Trenton? 64 degrees. Los Angeles, 68. And San Diego, also 68 degrees right now. It's 3 minutes after the hour. Here's what we have to tell you about some incidents in the Northeast. Here we have on 1 and 9 truck route a disabled vehicle. This is southbound Passaic River Drawbridge in Newark. The right lane is closed. Let me just update something here. I love when the computer decides to give me an update right now. We don't care that you're on the air, Mr. Rosato. We're going to give you an update. There we go. You behave, computer. We also have an issue, truck restrictions on Port Street in both directions between Brewster Road and Marlin Street in Newark. The left lane is closed. It's going to go on for a while, so we'll let you know as days go on. They're doing a lot of work on Port Street because there's a right by the port, and there is a little bridge there that everybody has to go over, and the big trucks have been driving over that bridge for years, and it's of course impacting things, so that's going to be a while. We also have issues at the Hudson River crossings already. Let's take a look at the 139 approach to the Holland Tunnel. It's already heavy. You could see the lanes on 139 making your way from the turnpike to the tunnel. I think we have that or not. There we go. Wow, that lens is getting dirtier and dirtier. So you could see the stopped traffic on the right side. It's as if somebody took a canister of dirt and just going whoosh, right on top of the lens. But it's been getting dirtier and dirtier. But so is the traffic getting dirtier and dirtier. We go over to the approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. And we will see that the Lincoln Tunnel is also pretty heavy on Columbia Avenue. There we go. You can see right at the top of the screen where it starts to hit the helix, and that is going to cost you about 30 minutes. And GWB upper and lower levels, 8095 approach. Heavy but moving. This is good. We like heavy but moving. Heavy, not so much, but moving. So you can see it's about 25 miles an hour in, upper levels on the right, lower is on the left. A few things to tell you about in LA right now. We have, let's see if we can get this to work for us. Traffic collision. This is in Newhall by the Old Road and Stallion Place. There's a collision in West Valley, pardon me, at the 101 and Tampa Avenue, and another collision to tell you about in South LA at the 405 and the 110. It's 5 minutes past the hour. U.S. stock prices climbed yesterday after falling oil prices eased investor concerns about rising inflation and economic uncertainty. Oil prices dropped after President Trump delayed additional military strikes against Iran following discussions with regional allies, Saudi Arabia being among them. The prices well, that of course would lower the prices, but that was one of the fears that whenever you have an issue, a conversation about potentially having a major uh, invasion, if you will, into Iran, everybody gets scared, and that causes oil prices to go up. They actually have dropped now. So it's now below $80 a barrel for crude, which is extremely good. Depending on how talks continue, we'll see what happens. Massive wildfires near Spokane, Washington, have destroyed more than 600 structures and forced thousands of residents to evacuate. The three major fires have burned over 8,000 acres and remain completely uncontained despite extensive firefighting efforts. Officials reported no injuries, but emergency crews continue protecting neighborhoods threatened by strong winds and dry weather. This is another case, by the way, of an area where forest management has gone down the toilet for the last 10 years. Many of the left wing environmentalist types, not to bash all left wing, there's a lot of great stuff from the left wing. This happens to be not a great thing. In order to stop the evil paper mill people, which was huge in Washington, that was their industry for decades, they made it basically outlawed to cut down trees. So you have massive amounts of trees not being thinned. As they get old and dry, they get hit by lightning, boom. Now you have a massive wildfire threatening structures and people's lives. And that's a problem. And think about it. It only happens in liberal states. Was it God doesn't like liberals? No, because they refuse to do forestry management like they used to because of environmental concerns. They want to save the ooga ooga fish. They want to preserve the little 2-inch long mouse that runs in that part of the woods. And as a result, we end up having this. That doesn't mean that's entirely the case. In many cases, it's just natural. This is nature's way of burning off the dead wood, and getting new growth. But all too often, if you look at Canada, where they refuse to do forestry management like they used to, you look at Washington State, you look at Northern California. It's all states where liberal environmentalists have taken total control and stopped doing forestry management like they used to. And all of a sudden, we have all these massive wildfires. Always had wildfires, but not to this extent. It's only and you'll have the liberals blaming it on global warming all they want. It's not global warming because we always had forest fires, but they didn't burn uncontrollably for weeks and weeks like this. Didn't happen like this. I am almost 60. I'm old enough to remember. If you're a 30-year-old environmentalist, don't try to tell me otherwise. I lived through it, darling. Okay. So this is going to require adults in the room who say, okay, we need to clear out the underbrush, need to clear out some of the dead stuff, and we need to thin out the forests like we used to. But no, see, the environmentalists have conditioned people to think that the loggers are evil. They're evil. We can't have loggers. Yeah, well, they actually served a purpose. And for every one tree that was cut down, they used to replant 7 to 9. So it was actually very sustainable. There's a nice liberal word they love to use, sustainability. It was very sustainable. If you replace one tree that's cut down with 7 to 9 new trees, yeah, it's not only sustainable, it takes into account the growth of humanity down the line, and it prevents stuff like this when it's managed. It is 9 minutes past the hour. Michigan health officials confirmed 2 people have died during the nation's largest recorded cyclosporiasis outbreak this past week. Both victims had serious underlying health conditions, so they had weakened immune systems. And then they had the dehydration and infection, and that unfortunately took their lives. People don't think diarrhea and digestive infections are as serious as they are, but you can die of dehydration because you can't hold down fluids. So that's why if you have diarrhea more than a day or two, call your doctor and get to a hospital so you can get IV fluids. And unfortunately, it may have been too late for these people. Investigators linked many cases to iceberg lettuce from central Mexico, but continue searching for additional contamination sources. So how does it happen? Fruits and vegetables that grow close to the ground, when it rains, the soil splashes up on them. The people who pick those fruits and vegetables many times tend to relieve themselves. And I'm sorry to be gross. We did the story years ago when I was on Channel 7. They relieve themselves in the field. There aren't bathrooms everywhere. It could be 10 miles to a bathroom. So they literally drop and relieve themselves in the field. And then you also have animals that will do that. But the animals don't get to the middle of the field where the lettuce is grown. They don't usually get out there. That's usually humans. And they don't talk about it because it's kind of gross, but they drop and they do. And then the rain comes and it splashes the bacteria onto the lettuce. And you get things like E. coli, cyclosporiasis, or cyclospora, I should say. Cyclosporiasis is the infection. Cyclospora is the bacterium. So this is why whenever you have fruits and vegetables that look clean, even if it says they're washed, don't buy it. I don't mean don't buy it. Buy it, but don't buy the idea that it's fully cleaned. You should get not only water, not only a rinse, get one of those antibacterial cleaners for your fruits and vegetables and soak your fruits and vegetables well. And if you have a weakened immune system, stay away from iceberg lettuce for the foreseeable future. Why iceberg lettuce? Because it grows right at the ground. Other lettuces grow a little higher. If it's a fruit or vegetable off a tree, you're fine for the most part. Still wash it. But if it grows close to the ground, avoid it right now if you have a weakened immune system. So there have been 11,000 outbreak-related cases, 200 hospitalizations since the illness began spreading. Cyclosporiasis caused by a parasite commonly triggering severe diarrhea, nausea, stomach cramps, and digestive problems. So again, just make sure you have a good wash, not just I rinsed it for 10 seconds. That won't do it. You need to buy a vegetable wash that is antibacterial and really give your veg a soak. I mean, like minutes in the solution to kill off as much bacteria as possible, then rinse it. 12 minutes after the hour, 2 Republican senators agreed to support Todd Blanche after he canceled the controversial anti-weaponization fund initiative. Blanche also clarified that a tax audit agreement applies only to President Trump and lawsuit plaintiffs. Excuse me as I cough. Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis said the written changes address their concerns about the Justice Department. Now, in the Senate, you have a lot of both Republicans and Democrats, but Republicans, really, who are they're bitter queens. Cornyn didn't get from Trump, and he lost his bid and to run again. And so now he's bitter at Trump. He's not going to help him out. This is what happens. It's a game in politics. And this is not unusual. And it's Republicans play the game just as nastily as Democrats and vice versa. It's just a game. People in the Senate believe they're little kings and queens, and they want their fiefdom. So it looks like Blanche will get the nomination. He'll be voted in. But again, this is the BS that you get when you elect people to houses of Congress. Arizona investigators released 2 ransom notes connected to the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. One note demanded $4 million. Another claimed Nancy died shortly after being kidnapped unexpectedly. The released messages contradicted Earl Bronx. His daughter Renee was there and found him. Before acting, he worked in New York's nightclub industry. He was a big guy, known in the clubs when you walked in. He was the guy at the back who took care of things. He helped you get in. He appeared in all sorts of films and TV series as like always playing like a mobster type or a tough guy among the Italians. He was a sweetheart. The few times I met him, about 5 times, gotten to talk to him, he is lovely. He is a lovely man and very kind and helped a lot of people in the industry. And again, Vincent Pastore, just 80 years old. May he rest in peace. 15 minutes past the hour. When we return, a love of soccer, bringing people together for a cause that's making a real difference. We'll explain in 2 minutes. Thanks with Ken Rosato for your Tuesday live in New Jersey and New York. And now we welcome Los Angeles and Florida. Hello, all you new channels at 15. Make that 17 minutes past the hour. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Our dear friend, meteorologist Mike Favetta, has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
So, Mike, it was pouring yesterday this time.
Yeah.
Just, of course, the 12 hours after I went to the car wash and spent some money. It's all about me. It's all about. So, but
It's always the
today's
case.
looking a lot better, isn't it?
Today's looking fantastic. Great weather this afternoon with the sunshine, the dry air, less humidity too. So it'll feel great to even head down toward the beaches because it's probably the best looking beach day this week until we get to Friday. More on that in just a bit because I think there might be some clouds working back into the picture by Friday into Saturday. As far as the weather for today, nice and dry and clear with the high pressure in control. Had that front move through last night, which allows for the clearing today. But you see all these clouds and showers that are moving in for tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a washout, but there definitely will be some hazy sunshine in between some storms that move on by, some independent, isolated downpours throughout the day on Thursday. And then Friday starts to clear out, but Saturday may bring back some more clouds as we wrap up the week. So finishing out the week with the future cast, you see that by Thursday, here is the potential for some more clouds. Friday looks okay until we get to Saturday morning. A few passing showers and storms. Again, not a washout, but Sunday looking like the drier half of the weekend with lots of clear sky and definitely the brighter and better half. Then we get into Monday and there could be some more storms returning again. So it's kind of about this song and dance of with the clearing that takes over today, all of these storms offshore. We look good for today, but again, it's like a one-day deal. Right back to the clouds tomorrow with some storms on the way by the afternoon, Ken, and then really hot weather into the weekend.
Wow. All right. So it's a good thing I bought that kiddie pool to dip my feet in the backyard. You laugh. You laugh. Listen, when it's 95 degrees and I'm the guy going, sipping lemonade, you're going to say, I wish I was over Zato's place. That's
I
all I'm
gotta see
saying.
photos of this.
Nothing wrong. Yeah. Nothing wrong with a 3-foot kiddie pool. I'm kidding. But there we go. Thank you. So you have the two kitties at home, so you deal with it already. We will check back with you, Mike. Thank you, sir. It is now 68 degrees northern New Jersey, 64 degrees in Trenton, it's 66 degrees in Cape May, and 66 also in Vineland. Over in Los Angeles, 68 degrees. San Francisco, I should say San Diego, it is 69. It is 64 degrees in San Francisco. All right, looking at traffic right now, we have some delays, no major issues, but delays right now, Route 21 northbound from exit 13 to 14 by Route 46 in Clifton. All lanes are open. It's just a little bit of a volume delay. Turnpike, we have delays now. The 95 express lanes northbound south of exit 71. The GWB exit upper level, 2-mile delay going into it. We're going to show that with the GWB cam in just a minute. Over to 1 and 9, we have delays now northbound, south of Bergen Boulevard, Palisades Park to Route 9W at Fort Lee. All lanes are open. And on 280, delays southbound, eastbound from east of exit 12, Garden State Parkway in East Orange to west of exit 13, Orange Street in Newark. All lanes open. It's about a mile and a half, just a bit of a slowdown. We look at the approach to the Holland Tunnel, 139 from the Turnpike into the tube, and you'll see it's very, if you can make it out with the sun glare and the dirt on the lens, you can kind of make out the 3 lanes on the extreme right. That is stopped. You can see they're absolutely stopped. So now that'll give you 45 minutes in by the Holland Tunnel. Lincoln Tunnel, 139. I should say the Helix, 495 for the Lincoln Tunnel is slow but moving. GWB upper and lower levels, 80 95. That's the Lincoln Tunnel. Good deal. You can see it's moving. That's nice. It's only about 25 minutes. And the GWB upper and lower levels are moving as well, slowly, and that's about 35 minutes in. Upper levels on the right, lower is on the left. Just a couple of things in LA really fast. We have a traffic collision reported in Newhall by the Old Road and Stallion Place, another one West Valley at 101 and Tampa Avenue. All right, a love of soccer is bringing people together for a cause that is making a real difference. This coming Friday, Every Kick Counts returns to the Bel Air Golf Course in Wall Township, combining the game with fundraising and support for special needs athletes. Joining us are father and son, Evan Dabby, CEO of New Jersey Youth Soccer, and Zach Dabby, founder of Every Kick Counts, to talk about how this event has grown into a movement and now it's expanding well beyond New Jersey. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you both on.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning, Ken.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Good morning. Zach, let's start with you. The story behind Every Kick Counts. What inspired you to create that?
So I started with a program called Challenger Sports about 6 years ago, which is a program that pairs young athletes with special needs with volunteers. And that's where I met my good friend Jack. And my friendship with Jack through Challenger Sports has been really, really important to me. So I created Every Kick Counts to give other athletes across the state the same opportunity to make friendship like that.
And then Evan, you're the dad here. What has it been like? You must be so proud watching Zach turn the idea into something that's making such a meaningful impact on so many people.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And it's, easy. And he's going to talk about the successes in fundraising and getting, folks like Tab Ramos involved. And I won't steal his thunder, but yeah, easy to be proud about the results. And I'll talk about that. But, even more than that, I would say is what happens behind the scenes. We'll talk about the fun stuff, but we probably won't talk about, and I'll help with what isn't so fun, the sacrifices on nights and weekends to do the outreach and make it happen. And, and I think that's what I'm most impressed about, to be honest.
Well, a lot of people think that events like this just happen, realizing it's nonstop phone calls, letters, emails, right? It's constantly up until the night before the morning of the event, making sure people show up and getting the corporate donors. And it's just a lot of work. I've known people to do this, and it is just grueling, exhausting. So, Zach, this is your second annual, and it's grown tremendously. So, what's new this year that brought in so many more people?
Yeah. So first, we've grown our participation. We've almost filled out our registration for this year, so I'm excited about that. We've gotten some new sponsors in RWJ Barnabas Health, the New York Red Bulls, Johnson & Johnson, and Bank of America, and we've even expanded into 3 other states. So Every Kick Counts is now operating in 4 states across the U.S. We have our New Jersey event. We're in Virginia, Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
Awesome. And once you get into 4, then next year it could be 7 and then 10. And before you know it, it becomes a national event. And then you better hire a big old staff because it's going to get crazy if it's not crazy already. Evan, why was it important for New Jersey Youth Soccer to support and help grow this initiative?
Yes, so New Jersey Youth Soccer has a program called Top Soccer, which is the program for outreach program for players with special needs. And Zach mentioned his work with Challenger Sports and his friendship with Jack. So there's nearly 1,000 players in that program across the state under New Jersey Youth Soccer, and Zach has helped give them this opportunity. So he's taken it to another level, and we service 120,000 players throughout the state and at all levels. And this is something that's really special.
That is huge. And Zach, Every Kick Counts already has raised thousands and thousands of dollars. Just help everybody understand where the money goes. I know you work with athletes with special needs. Give us some ideas of some of the programs you're doing and some of the things you're purchasing with that.
All fundraising goes to programs for young athletes with special needs to give more opportunities to play the game. So we fundraise for Top Soccer and Challenger Sports right now.
It's so
And
awesome.
I'll add that
It is so awesome.
And I'll add, Ken, that the funds raised allow those nearly 1,000 players across the state to have their registration with New Jersey Soccer covered at no cost each year.
That is amazing, amazing, and I can only imagine what that does for somebody with special needs. And special needs covers a wide swath, right? It could be anything. I'm assuming from developmental disabilities or challenges to physical challenges. Correct?
Yeah, we support all players.
That's awesome. All right, and Zach, soccer legend Tab Ramos is serving as your official ambassador. How'd that happen?
We reached out to him in the first year, and he was very, very supportive. He came to our event the first year, and he played with all the children. And recently, we asked him. Actually, it wasn't recently. It was after the first event. We asked him if he wanted to be the ambassador, and he said yes. That was really, really exciting.
Yeah, Ken, we spoke before the World Cup, and And for anyone who got to know Tab at any point in life, he's just an incredible person. He's so giving. He's been part of New Jersey soccer events forever, and a credit to him. He showed up, saw what it was about, and really was proactive in saying he wanted to help. So he and Zach talked, created this ambassador role. And that's, not only a credit to Zach, but really the type of character that Tab is.
That is huge. That is huge. Well, tell everybody a website so people can get more information.
So we recently started a GoFundMe that you can find on our Instagram, which is Every Kick Counts 25. So any support would be very much appreciated.
100%. Well, you're doing God's work, and I'm sure you're making a lot of people happy. God bless both of you for doing it. Every Kick Counts, happening this Friday at the Bel Air Golf Course, Wall Township. Evan Dabby, CEO of New Jersey Youth Soccer, a friend of the show, and Zach Dabby, new friend of the show, founder of Every Kick Counts. Thank you both for being here. Good father and son.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you both. You bet. All right. Nice people. It is 29 minutes past the hour. When we come back, illegals voting in New Jersey? We thought that wasn't happening. We're going to talk about it coming up next. Phone lines open. We want to hear what you have to say about it. 888-658-0234. And Mike has the full forecast for the Garden State. Don't go away. Very good morning to you. It is 31 minutes past the hour, Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, also on the West Coast with On LACA, our new channel there. And we welcome the state of Florida now with On FLA. Good to have you all on all our new channels. Now, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Mike, we got a couple of special things to mention here. Today is National Night Out Day. That's when you get all the neighborhoods together. It was originally meant to help fight neighborhood crime and whatnot, but it's also meant to get the neighbors out for a reason to, meet each other. People usually just come and go and they don't meet each other. So that's always fun. Check out in your neighborhood what's going on with National Night Out Day. It's also National Coast Guard Day. Thank you to the people serving in the Coast Guard. My buddy Dave has been with the Coast Guard Reserves now for years. He calls himself a puddle pirate. That's what the Coast Guards affectionately refer to themselves as, the puddle pirates, but God bless them for what they do in their service. And then maybe one of my favorites, it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
Oh,
For
get
me, that's a
out.
sacred day. That's a sacred day.
That's why I've been
You know,
craving
I
them.
I got a little shrine in the corner with
Okay.
a chocolate chip cookie and two candles, and it's kind of creepy, but it helps me stay above 200 pounds.
That's it. That's it. I don't they make candles with the scent of chocolate chips too? Chocolate chip cookies. I think
If
they do.
not, they ought
Kind
to.
of. They ought to, yeah. Something that just kind of get you up in the morning, especially with the sunshine, Ken, that's out today. I wouldn't leave the chocolate chip cookie in the sun today. It would just become a nice little puddle, all melting because of the beautiful weather that's on tap this afternoon. Have some rain and clouds off to our south that are migrating in our direction, but notice how they kind of dissolve as they reach that clearer air. The high pressure doing a great job of keeping our skies clear today after all of the rainfall yesterday. But by this evening, that starts to retreat, and then we're back to some clouds into tomorrow morning with some storms by the afternoon. Very isolated storms. Not everybody sees them, but it's just enough to keep the rain threat around even through Thursday. A little bit more sunshine on Thursday, but a lot of sun for Friday before more rain moves in later Friday night, and then Saturday could start off a little cloudy as we head into the first part of the weekend. So here's all of the wet weather that's off to our south. It'll eventually move back in with some clouds by the end of the day. And then out west, where that big heat wave is taking over, it's just very quiet with all of that extreme heat, that heat dome that stays over the desert southwest, very similar to last week, hasn't really quit. And so that's where the heat is for this week. And the futurecast keeps that there, especially with all of the clouds offshore, maybe limited cloud cover down along the coast with the marine layer working in. But beyond that, it's ultimately dry throughout Saturday and Sunday, and it just remains stiflingly hot with record heat continuing down in the desert southwest. So that continues for the West Coast. Our weather here across the East Coast stays quiet until the weekend because I think we have some heat on the way with the humidity returning later this week, but the real heat and upper 90s on the way into next week. We'll talk more about that coming up, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it, Mike. We have a temperature now 67 degrees northern New Jersey, 64 in Trenton. It is 66 degrees now, Cape May, and 65 in Vineland. Over to Los Angeles, 68 degrees, 67 degrees now, San Diego, and 65 in San Francisco. South Florida, though, the winter with 80 degrees already in Fort Lauderdale. There you go. All right. We look at some traffic in the area. We have just a few delays to tell you about. One is on 1 and 9 truck route. Disabled now reported north of Jacobus Avenue in Kearney. All lanes are open, just a bit of a slowdown. Hudson River crossings, Holland Tunnel approach, 139 from the Turnpike into the, wow, that just gets worse and worse with the sun glare. You can see where it says SE, Southeast, in the on the lower right there. That those are stopped lanes of traffic. That's actually a lane of traffic, or 2 lanes of traffic. You can see it's just stopped bumper to bumper. 45 minutes it's going to cost you to get into Manhattan via the Holland Tunnel. The traffic that was moving, those are local lanes into Jersey City. Because people have texted us and called in and said, well, what about all that motion? Those are the local lanes to Jersey City. You can't get into the tube that way because people will get out of their car and they'll rearrange your face if you cut them off coming from the local lanes. But it's not a good thing. We check out the 495 approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. That's moving much better, actually. It's only, believe it or not, that's actually much better than the Holland. At least there's motion. That's going to cost you about 35 minutes in. GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach. Solid 40 now. That's not so bad considering. Normally it's 45 to 60 rather at this hour. So it's a solid 40, they're telling us. Right beyond that camera shot, you can see the extreme left of your screen right now. It's starting to really come to a stop there. Right beyond that camera shot, that's where you get the 1.5 mile point into Manhattan. And that is about 40 minutes from that point. 37 minutes after the hour, just a couple of things in LA. We have a hit and run, no injuries in Newhall. That's at Sierra Way and Ward Road. There's a collision in the 405 and the 110 and another on the 101 at Tampa Avenue. It is 37 minutes past the hour. Questions surrounding New Jersey's voter rolls have sparked renewed debate after reports that non-citizens, aka illegal aliens, may have been registered to vote. How could that happen? Let's see. First, we give licenses to people when a license is a privilege and many citizens don't even get them. Let's just make sure that illegal aliens who come here who shouldn't be here anyway get a driver's license. Oh, and I got a great idea. Let's automatically enroll them to vote in the state, even though they're not supposed to because they're not citizens. That sounds to me like a Democrat concept. The issue has fueled discussion over election security, you think, voter registration safeguards, you think, and the state's response to requests for records, which the Democrats never want to share. Joining us now is Republican New Jersey State Assemblyman Jerry Scharfenberger to share his perspective on the issue and the legislation he says could strengthen election integrity in New Jersey. How about we get rid of all the Democrats, Assemblyman? Let's start with that.
I'll let you say that, Ken, but there are a lot of problems with our voting system, and we're seeing it daily unfold before our eyes.
I mean, how could anyone who is rational and doesn't laugh, snicker, come up with the concept that let's automatically vote or allow everybody who gets a driver's license, which they shouldn't get anyway. And I know, let me even back up more. California originally had this idea. It was the voter motor idea with under Clinton. I understand this happened from the early 90s. The idea was, well, illegals are driving anyway, and they're going to get into collisions. And if they don't have a driver's license, we have no way of tracking them down. Okay. So guess what? They're still driving illegally. Many are still driving without licenses, and those with licenses aren't showing up in court. So what does it resolve? Now it's just giving them the ability to vote illegally in states all over the country that have this.
Right, and interestingly enough, Ken, if you go back to the committee hearings where we first heard about this bill to allow, illegal aliens or non-citizens to get driver's licenses, this came up. What is the concern? What is the oversight that's going to keep these folks from being able to register to vote? And you can't believe the names people were called. You're a racist. That's ridiculous. It'll never happen. We've heard this for 10 years already, and here we are. Here we are. And that 6,600 number that the governor has admitted to may only be the tip of the iceberg. We have a half-joking axiom among elected officials that the rule of 10, whatever the government admits to, it's 10 times worse. And we think the Department of Homeland Security thinks it's over 35,000, and we think it's many more.
If you have at least 900,000 illegals in the state of New Jersey that we know of, okay? And by the way, I know that the politically correct try to force you and everybody else to say that, undocumented migrants or whatever. The U.S. legal system calls them illegal aliens. That's what they're called. We are legal aliens. They are illegal aliens. It's as simple as that. We're also aliens, right? So it's ridiculous that people on the left love to redefine names and titles because it sounds a little nicer. It's a little softer. The reality is what it is. If you or I were to break into Mexico tomorrow, we'd be thrown in jail. If we were to be in Guatemala illegally, we'd be thrown in jail. And when people from Guatemala go into Mexico, they get thrown in jail. It's only here that when we try to deal with our problem of illegal migration, that we're the meanies and the racists. And that is part of the communism. That's part of their playbook. And so the Democrats are the closest thing, well, now we have the DSA, to communists in this country. And this is the way they embrace it.
Right. And, a lot of times this name calling is just to scare you away from even broaching the subject and discussing it honestly. And this is a real problem, and it's going to get a lot bigger as time goes on. We see the federal government getting involved. The Judiciary Committee, headed by Jim Jordan, is now getting involved. I know Jeff Van Drew has sent a bunch of questions to the governor to have answered by, I believe, August 21st. So this is not going away anytime soon. And think about it. There were over 400 of these illegally registered people who voted already. And we've had a mayor's race here in my district decided by 3 votes. We've had many elections around the state decided by less than 10 votes, some legislative by less than 60 votes. So these are things that are really substantive and have a major impact in a lot of areas, even though the numbers seem small in the grand scheme of things. So we want to get to the bottom of this. Assemblywoman Vicki Flynn, my colleague here in LD 13, have had legislation for the last three sessions to force the Secretary of State to do an audit of all these folks who are being registered to vote through the Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, Department of Motor Vehicles has enough problems just dealing with the mission that they're charged with, no less registering people to vote. So the whole idea is ridiculous, and it should be ended, in my opinion, immediately.
Look, if you still want to have illegal migrants get driver's licenses, you can do that, but let them proactively get them. Don't automatically enroll them for voting. For anyone. Why? Voting is a privilege. Why are people? It's like you'll get a free can of Coke with a fill up. No, you don't throw that as a bonus. In the state, you register for your driver's license, we'll automatically register you to vote. No, who said? Why is that such a good idea? If you want to vote, and as a citizen, you have an obligation to vote, you want to vote. I want somebody who wants to vote because they proactively want to vote, not because, well, we automatically signed them up when they were down at the flea sale or something. No, you want to have people who proactively seek out voting because they're citizens. And the only reason Democrats would automatically enroll people like this is because they are hoping. It's because they know that the citizenry or non-citizenry that tend that tend to vote for them rather are the ones who would tend not to take the time to register. It's as simple as that.
Right. And you know what, Ken, our election system here in New Jersey has gotten so complicated with vote by mail ballots, early voting. All of these things are muddying the waters here, and it's making it more difficult. How many times have we had to wait days just for the results of an election because of all this complex legislation that they put into the election system? And, in all honesty, it should be election day. It should be vote by mail for military and emergency situations, and that's it. We're the only country who has this complex system that really calls into question the results of every election every year. We see it over and over again. And something's got to give. But maybe this is a good thing. Maybe in the end, it'll come to a head here and we can roll back some of these insane policies we have here and really clean up our elections once and for all. We have the legislation and we're calling on the governor to partner with us. Get behind this legislation. The hard part's already done. It's been created. It's been introduced. Now we just need the political will to go ahead and sign it into law.
Well, you have 93% of Republicans who support some kind of voter ID, and you have 70% in many polls, between 60 and 70% of all Democrats. So you have a majority, not a plurality, a majority from both parties. But the Democrat elected body does not want anything to do with it. Although I understand that Governor Sherrill said last week she would support a voter ID law and said, quote, I don't have a problem with voter ID. Yeah, then get behind it. Put your money where your mouth is, Gov. Put on your big girl governor pants and get it done. But she won't, because she and those on the left know that they see two things. They see lots of illegals in the blue states providing extra congressional seats, and they want that, and also extra money from the federal government in order to pay for things like education and food for these people. And they also see in that future Democrat voters. It just comes down to that. Republican New Jersey State Assemblyman Jerry Scharfenberg. Yes, go ahead, sir.
No, I just wanted to say real quick, this is a proverbial 80-20 issue. So they're not going to be able to dodge this too much longer, because when 71%, I saw one poll, of Democrats favor this, 85% of independents or unaffiliated, and 95% Republicans, that's enormous. You cannot keep ignoring the will of the voters like that. So I think we're going to see some form, whether it's a very, very watered down, but I'll take it. Move the ball 20 yards instead of to the other end zone, and we'll work on it from there. But I think they're not going to be able to avoid addressing this with some sort of voter ID, and that would be a good thing for the voters. And listen, I think any citizen could accept the results of an election if they're sure that it's fair, it's honest, and it's accurate. And that would be good for society.
Stop with your logic. Democrats disagree. They don't want fair and honest. They just want power. It comes, you're surrounded by them. I don't know how you sit there without a bottle of Tums, Assemblyman. God bless. I'm going to say prayers. I see the cross on the wall. I'm a former priest. I will say prayers for you every day, sir. because
Thank you.
I don't know how you deal with them, but God bless you. And please
We
come
need
back.
them.
We want you on again and again. Yes, please come back anytime, sir. And with any updates, we'd love to have you on. Assemblyman
Sure
Jerry
thing, Kenny. Thank you.
Scharfenberger, say hi to everybody in Trenton for us. Have a good one,
I
sir.
sure will. Thank you.
Thank you. 47 minutes past the hour. When we come back, if you buy a smart TV, it's your property. Do with what you want, right? Well, maybe not. You have to marry yourself to Walmart for life in order for any of the features to work. That's really happening. Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, is going to be here with all the details in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast for your city.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, looking a lot nicer today for the Northeast.
Can't wait for the beautiful sunshine to, well, it's already out, but can't wait for the enjoyment of everybody to be able to get out and enjoy the clear sky that stretches up and down New Jersey today, waiting on some more rain to move in for later tomorrow. But I think by the time we get there, everybody will have their fill of clear sky. Looking a little later on in the week, taking us into Thursday and Friday timeframe, you can already see some of the clouds returning from most of the East Coast with a little bit of a wind shift and a change in the weather pattern. We're kind of stuck under these clouds right throughout our Thursday. By Friday, we get a little bit of a break in the action, but Saturday sees the clouds return, and then into Sunday, we're back to clear sky. So I think we finish the week on a brighter note, but looking ahead, there could be some warmer days ahead, especially into early next week, Monday, Tuesday timeframe, where the temperature really starts to spike. So with that clear sky today, enjoy all of the dry weather. It's less humid, it feels great, because by this time tomorrow, look how the clouds roll back in and give us more of an overcast sky with some embedded thunderstorms in there, maybe some breaks of sun as well for Thursday, passing thunderstorms, and then Friday looking clear until the afternoon with a few more rounds of isolated spotty showers and that wet weather. Going through the first 2 weeks of August, you see all of that heat kind of concentrated down to the southeastern U.S., where the forecast points to a much warmer finish to the month, and then even into the middle of August, likely have some slightly wetter conditions as the drought is over for New Jersey. Duh, with all of the rainfall we've had, but I think we are looking forward to some warmer days ahead with some showers in there, Ken. So not completely dry, but also not completely washed out.
All right, sir. Much appreciated. We'll take what we can get at this point. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
It is 70 degrees right now, northern New Jersey. It's 64 in Trenton. So there's a little cloud mix, I guess, over Trenton, but 70 degrees in northern New Jersey. You know, when you buy a smart TV, it is your property to do with what you want, right? Maybe not. You apparently have to marry yourself to Walmart for life if you buy this particular TV in order for any of the features to work, the ones that you need and want. That's really happening with Vizio smart TVs, certain ones sold at Walmart. See, they sucker you in with these really good prices, but it turns out you have to be a Walmart member, you have to provide your information, etc., and they big brother you for the rest of the life of the TV. So, brand and digital strategist Fisher, whom you could reach on X and Threads with username @Fisher or on his website, fisher.media, here to talk about it. Good morning, Fisher. I am sick
Good
of all the
morning, Ken.
bait and switch big brotherisms happening between
Yep.
cars and TVs. So what is going on here with this Walmart Vizio TV?
Yeah, it happened earlier this year. Newly purchased Vizio smart TVs require your Walmart account during setup to access any smart features. And if you don't have one, you will have one if you want to access streaming apps, software updates, or the SmartCast platform, which gives you hundreds of channels to watch. Basic TV functions will still work without an account. You can still use HDMI inputs for cable boxes, gaming consoles, streaming sticks, etc. And you can even connect an antenna for over-the-air TV for broadcast TV. The change stems from Walmart's $2.3 billion acquisition of Vizio, which happened in late 2024. And then Vizio became a Walmart private label brand. Existing Vizio accounts can be merged into a Walmart account. Vizio uses, now keep this in mind, all smart TVs use this. It's called Automatic Content Recognition, ACR. In your settings, you can turn it off, but that analyzes what's playing on the screen in real time, including streaming apps, HDMI connected devices, ads, and gaming content. That data is then collected and in this case linked to a Walmart account. It can include viewing habits, activity data, device identifiers, even your IP address from your internet, and it's all just fed to your account to create a profile on you. The primary business goal, as I said, is to connect TV viewing data with Walmart's retail shopping data to power more targeted advertising through Walmart Connect. The policy obviously has drawn criticism. I don't think any policy that we've talked about here has not, but it's turning you into the product, and it's trading the ability of buying a smart TV at a cheap price. You mentioned this in the intro, sort of subsidizing that with the data that they're collecting on you. Now, keep in mind, at Best Buy, Insignia is their house brand as well. I'm not aware that you have to have a Best Buy account to watch Insignia, but the thought is the same. Amazon owns Eero router and Wi-Fi, Ring doorbell, Whole Foods, and Blink alarm systems, as well as many other companies. So a lot of companies are collecting data on you. And we talked about this with, and I point back here, the Roku TVs now are owned by Fox. So I'm sure eventually all the TVs in my house that I got at a cheap price because it was Roku, I will share some data that I have disabled as much as possible, but I will wind up sharing it with Fox in exchange for the data that I'm providing them. So it is what it is. We mentioned last week that BMW is prompting ads on the infotainment system. All of this is seems to be when you pay a lot of money for things, they're not yours anymore. So I don't know what to do about it, though.
No, that's where it's really bad. I mean, you pay the money and you should have certain rights. It's like, I mean, there was a case in California of a guy with the car, you know, and we talked about smart cars. There was a guy
Yeah.
in California who was a mechanic and he was disconnecting for free. He wasn't even charging
Yeah.
for friends. He was disconnecting the feature that is going into effect with all the smart cars. I guess every car is basically a smart car today. That if it basically it'll determine if you might be impaired. So what if you spill a little coffee on your lap or your kid is screaming and you look back for a second and you swerve for a second? It can. I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying it here, but it'll shut down your car. I mean, and
Yeah.
this guy was disconnecting it. He got convicted because in
Yep.
California the laws are so strict about that. So
Yeah, there's a feature in
is
your
Big
radio in
Brotherism.
your car that I'm actually in favor of for other reasons, but all your listening data is being fed and can be seen by major broadcast companies, radio stations, stuff like that. It's not specific data about you, but it's generic data of how your car is, what you're listening in your car. Again, for other reasons, I'm excited by it. But then on the opposite side, it's exactly what we're talking about, that our viewing data from our TVs is being fed back to a big company for targeting purposes. So
Already, by the way, Fisher, I know that when I was with Disney ABC, they have Hulu and Disney
Hmm.
Channel, and this is not just them; it's
ESPN,
Paramount,
all of
it's
it.
all of them. When you subscribe and you're watching specific channels, there is a computer registering
Hmm.
which sub channel you're watching and for how long. And I
Yes.
mean, they're not doing it supposedly for nefarious reasons. They're doing it because they want to be able to market to their advertisers and say, look, this 28-year-old male in Oshkosh is spending 2 hours watching sports.
And
That's
also in those
ostensibly,
cases, like the Paramount apps and the Hulus and all that is to show you what you might be interested in. So there is some benefit. So you're not wading through, National Geographic if that's not what you're into, if you're trying to get to the Mets game. So there is some benefit to that. But yes, then other ways that they're selling it is first party data to advertisers to then feed you back ads specific to what you're interested in.
and you being that you're paying for the damn service, you should have the right to turn it off if you don't want people knowing. And
And you
that's
can in
the
some
issue.
cases. You can in some
Right.
cases. I wish we can have some time to go through the settings on a TV, but there are options in setting, usually under privacy, that you can go in and turn off advertising tokens and that ARC that we talked about earlier. So there are ways to, it's still collecting data, but it's general data compared to specific data, which would be specific first party data on you.
Well, that's something that Mr. Fisher could possibly work on in the next few weeks. Maybe we
Yeah,
could
I'll
do
hold
that.
courses.
And
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Let's do that online. So the U.S. government also just banned any humanoid robots made overseas from being sold here due to security concerns. But now it's not just humanoid robots; it's also things like your Roomba, your little vacuums.
Correct.
The only thing I understand that isn't banned is your pool robot, right? Because I guess it can't hear you when it's underwater going blub, 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 cleaning
No,
your
pool
pool.
cleaners are included as well as lawnmower robots, sidewalk delivery
Really,
robots,
we
warehouse
just
robots.
had, I don't mean to cut you off. We just had on the radio network this week that was the one thing not included. So I'll double check that. Let's
I'll
double
double
check that.
check as well. But either way,
All right.
a lot of those can map different pieces of your home, of your yard. Plus, they they usually don't have secure Wi-Fi to connect to your Wi-Fi. So that's a way that bad actors can get into your network and do nefarious things. But yes, basically, if the object is on the ground, weighs more than 4.4 pounds, perceives their environment, and has wireless connectivity or smart control, you can't get new versions of it. Existing versions will work fine, but we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, there you go. It's I'm just looking here. See, some robots are exempted from. So it says it's partial. We're both right. We're both right, according to the Google. It says some reports indicate robotic pool cleaners are exempted as underwater robots, though other early analyses suggested they could still be swept up by the broad rule. So
I'm going to mark this
it
down
could
because
be
I've never
nebulous.
had you in the time that I've known you say we're both right. So let me just jot this down. I
Since
don't
I
have a
know
pen
you,
on me.
since
The
1972.
1900s.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Brand and digital strategist Fisher, whom you could reach at X and Threads with username @Fisher, and I highly suggest you harass him, or on his website, fisher.media. Thanks for coming on, Fish.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, but it is now 8 o'clock. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we continue now with ONNJ.com. And a very good morning to you at 8:01, Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Do I see sunshine today? Highs mid-80s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
We had so much beautiful weather to wrap up yesterday, so if we could just bottle it up and spread it all throughout the day, well, that's actually what you get with today's weather. Yesterday afternoon featured that late day clearing that dropped the humidity, brought out the sunshine, and now that continued clearing lasts throughout the day today with very comfortable conditions, especially in northwestern New Jersey, where we've seen a temperature drop from earlier today down to 20 degrees cooler than that time yesterday. Even over toward Morristown, 13 degrees cooler. Same for you in Mount Holly beach locations, also much cooler and drier. And the dry is the key considering how low the humidity will feel throughout this afternoon, especially in the northwestern corner of the state. Down the shore, still a little bit of muggy weather due to that wind off of the water. And with that, today, we enjoy all of that pleasant weather. So, a little bit of an extra breeze out of the east that keeps some clouds around well down the shore. Most of them should stay well offshore. But look at the temperatures responding into the upper 80s with all that sunshine. Then once we get to tomorrow, we're back to the humidity, back to more of a, well, a drizzly feel, especially with some spotty showers coming through. By tomorrow evening, winds out of the south and east, and that will push in a little bit more of that humidity as well through Thursday. Then with the breaks in the clouds for Thursday, we warm back into the 90s. It's going to be very hot, very humid. Could see some late day thunderstorms, as is usual when you have that mix of heat and humidity. And then push in 98 degrees, almost 100, triple digits by Friday afternoon. Very hot weather. Have to be near a beach to cool off, especially with that wind out of the south. And then Saturday looks to start off a bit cloudy, but I think we gradually see some clearing by late in the afternoon. So the next few days, it's not totally wash out weather every single day. We'll get some breaks of sun, but plan on a few passing storms each afternoon, especially with all of that heat and humidity as temperatures climb well into the 90s. We'll take a check of this weekend, next week's weather, coming up with another look of your New Jersey forecast.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. It is now, let's see, 3 minutes after 8 o'clock. In terms of traffic, we have a crash reported now on the New Jersey Turnpike northbound, just south of Interchange 5 in Mount Laurel Township. Left lane is blocked. Let's look at your approaches to what do they call it? The Hudson River? Yes. The Holland Tunnel approach, 139, making your way from the Turnpike. It almost is like we're being punked. It's like you look at this shot and you think, come on, do they really think we could see this? And it gets worse each time we go to it. But that is 139 making your way from the Turnpike to the tubes of the Holland Tunnel, and that is heavy. In fact, you can't really make it out, but where it says call Ken at, those are actually 2 to 3 lanes are stopped. You can't really tell, but take my word. And then over by where it says 658, you can see they're stopped there. So those are the lanes that go into the tubes. The lanes you see moving are the local lanes for Jersey City, but the actual lanes that go into the tunnel are stopped. And that is 40 minutes in via the Holland. Over to the Lincoln, 495 right now is actually better than that. It's we're talking about, look at that, it's a slow move, but it's moving 35 minutes in. And then the GWB upper and lower level now starting to really slow down a bit. 8095 approach is up to 45 minutes in. We'll take a look. You can see it looks pretty much stopped, close to it, 5 miles an hour or so. Upper level on the right, lower on the left. And in the news right now at 8:05, New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport joined 23 states and Washington, D.C. in suing the Trump administration, all Democrat states, by the way, kind of a shock, suing the Trump administration over a new policy affecting temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF recipients. Now, what is that about? The lawsuit argues the policy would illegally allow sensitive personal information, including social security numbers, which, by the way, the federal government already knows, addresses and immigration status, which, by the way, they also know. They just want to know where they are in the state of New Jersey. See, anything that helps ICE, the illegal blue states don't want any part of. So when they say that they don't have an obligation in blue states, in liberal states, they don't have an obligation to help the federal government enforce federal law, that may be one thing, but they also don't have a right to actively do anything to prevent the federal government from enforcing federal law. And now they're straddling that line, because if ICE is trying to do what it is by law, by congressional act, they are empowered to remove illegal aliens from the United States. And last I checked, New Jersey is one of those states. Then for New Jersey to pass a law that says they will not share that information, even if the federal government demands it, then New Jersey at that point has crossed the line, and they are now violating federal law along with those other states who want to do this. You cannot go out of your way to block the federal government. That's called obstruction of justice. Look it up. And people have spent decades in jail for obstructing justice with the Justice Department. So if they are actively seeking somebody violating federal law, and you as a state say, we're not going to share our police information, well, guess what? If somebody robbed a bank in New Jersey, you would share that information with the FBI. You would have no problem. If somebody got kidnapped in New Jersey, that's a federal violation. You would share that information. If somebody counterfeited, that's a federal violation. You would share that information. But somehow you feel that you're not going to share this other federal law violation, somebody being here illegally. Why? There's only one reason, people. There's only one reason. It's because the presence of 900,000 plus illegal migrants in the state of New Jersey gives New Jersey extra congressional seats, probably two. We would lose 2 congressional seats if those people weren't present. And those people are not here legally. Sorry, they could apply like anyone else and wait to become citizens, but they are here illegally. So under federal law, they got to go. It's as simple as that. You don't like the frickin' law, change the frickin' law. But this is the way Democrats do it. They don't like the law, so they take their bat and their ball and they go home. That's not the way it works. We have we have federal laws, just like we have state laws. You don't want to follow them? Then get out of the way and let somebody else come into power and follow them. But you don't have a right to obstruct. And it's as simple as that. And they're trying to do that. And this is their little spiteful way of they're like gnats. They're like gnats. Anytime the federal government imposes a law that they don't like, they'll sue. They'll get a liberal federal district judge to impose something that'll block it for 6 weeks, and then it gets appealed to a higher court and it gets overthrown. But this is the way the Democrats operate around the country. The Republicans didn't do the same thing to Obama. They just didn't. There was only one thing they tried to block, and there was a good cause for it, and that was Obamacare. And Obamacare still passed by a vote. By a friggin' vote, changed the whole way of the land. And guess what? Insurance sucks now, thanks to you Democrats and Obamacare. How does that work out? So maybe you should listen to the majority of the people. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. But that is New Jersey. And you people who sit on your asses in New Jersey and just vote Democrat because Grandpa did, you have to wake up and get out there and vote and stop the silliness. A 44-year-old man was arrested after climbing the Brooklyn Bridge, displaying flags and displaying other parts of his body. He removed his clothes and jumped into the East River. Police say, let me get this properly, Galimzan Abalidayev, Galymzhanabaildayev. I think I got it right. Climbed to the top of the bridge's North Tower Sunday afternoon before making the dangerous leap. Harbor unit officers rescued him from the water. Amazingly, he was in stable condition. He's alive. God bless him. You could do that, jump hundreds of feet naked into the water and survive. Amazing. He now faces a number of charges, including reckless endangerment, public lewdness, criminal trespass, graffiti, and disorderly conduct. Wondering if he's here legally. Just curious. Because if he's not, then he should be deported. Not saying he is. I don't know one way or the other. I'm just saying that, look at that. Don't ever try this at home, folks. Most people will die doing that, just so you know. In fact, the vast majority of people will break their necks, even though he's jumping down with his toes pointed down. You think, oh, that'll break the water. It's like landing on concrete. He is the luckiest man alive to have survived that fall. Never think you can survive a jump into water that high. Most people would die. A 3-alarm fire damaged an IHOP restaurant, Route 17, Hasbrook Heights, during yesterday morning's breakfast rush there. Firefighters responded at 7 a.m., temporarily closing part of the highway while battling the flames. The fire caused significant damage to the building's roof. Then they got it under control. No injuries reported, thankfully. No word yet on how it may have started. New Jersey's own Michael Gagliano, or Gagliano, as we would pronounce it in American English of Italian words and names, has reached the final table of the 2026 World Series of Poker main event after outlasting more than 9,200 competitors. The Glen Gardner resident is guaranteed at least $1 million so far. He's now competing for the tournament's $10 million grand prize in Vegas. Gagliano, a Rutgers grad and 4-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, has earned more than $3.3 million during his professional poker career. Most spouses would say, honey, are you playing poker and gambling again? His wife, if he has one, is probably saying, honey, go gamble, go gamble. He first developed his love for poker through family card games before turning his passion into a full-time career focused on strategy, math, and psychology. Don't you love it, though? Big-time casinos, because they always want to have the odds in their favor. you start counting cards and whatnot, somehow you're breaking the law. But when they set it up that they win 70% of the time, they're not breaking the law. Good luck, Gags. I hope you keep winning, buddy. 8:12 right now. Governor Mikey Sherrill announced that New Jersey has created a statewide system designed to prevent veteran homelessness. I'll support you on that one, Governor. The Bringing Veterans Home initiative connects veterans in housing crises with permanent housing and support services within days. I will support the governor on that 100%, party lines aside. Since launching in 2024, the program has permanently housed more than 2,500 vets across the state. 6 regional service hubs now coordinate housing assistance, rental support, outreach, and emergency shelter resources. Veterans are contacted within 24 hours of requesting help with a goal of securing housing within 30 days. Yes, yes. State leaders hope the program will make veteran homelessness rare, brief, or non-recurring altogether throughout New Jersey. That's where Republicans and Democrats can find common ground. I support you 100%, Governor, and I think you should also support the governor on this. 8:13, a groundhog that attacked a homeowner in Mullica Township has tested positive for rabies, marking Atlantic County's second confirmed rabies case of 2026. The animal attacked the resident July 27th, tested by a state lab, confirming the infection on July 31st. Health officials identified 1 person and 2 outdoor cats that were exposed to the rabid groundhog. The homeowner is receiving preventive rabies treatment. I guess it's the old shots in the stomach. He has to get that and get monitored for 4 months. Rabies spreads through the saliva of infected animals. If you see an animal, a wild animal, stay away. Don't try to pet it. Don't try to feed it, especially if it starts to come close to you. Don't say, oh, it's being sweet. It likely is rabid, especially squirrels, raccoons, skunks, and groundhogs. Stay away. The Cape May County Zoo is asking the public's help in naming its new female zebra foal born on July 17th. Visitors can vote for one of 3 names. Gloria, look at that choo-choo baby. It's either Gloria, Gemma, or Tara. I don't know. I like Gemma. You like Stripes. It's only, Pam, you can only choose from those 3, Gloria, Gemma, or Tara. I would say Gemma. Gemma, that looks like a Gemma. Doesn't it look like Gemma? You can cast your vote by making a donation to the zoo. Every dollar donated counts as votes, with all proceeds supporting animal care and feeding. Voting is available both online and in person through August 16th. The winning name will be announced on the zoo's social media pages. We'll do it here too on August 17th. Gemma. I say vote for Gemma. It is 69 degrees now at 8:15. When we come back, if you've noticed baseball caps with upside down logos showing up everywhere lately, you're not alone. We will explain. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:17, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
We have one of the best weather days this week, especially if you're looking for some beach time. Enjoy all of that sunshine down the shore from Manahawkin to Atlantic City and points south like Cape May. Lovely amounts of clear weather. With that, a little bit of a breeze cooling you off at the beaches. It'll be feeling a little bit warmer inland, but not terrible with the heat and humidity that started off yesterday and made it feel very, very gusty. So throughout this afternoon, a little bit of a breeze down the shore, but beyond that, most of New Jersey staying dry, and that tends to welcome the bugs back, even with the pest activity a little bit higher at the moderate level, thanks to all of that rainfall from the last few days. Good news is it knocked the pollen levels back down to the low level. Likely see the late summer and fall allergens begin to appear in the next few days. As far as today's high, we'll likely get back up into the 90s. It's a little bit above average, but far from the record, and a dry day for a change after so many soaking rounds of rain with the flooding the last few days, especially on yesterday. So all of these clouds shifting eastward, water temperatures staying in the mid to upper 70s, cooling off a little bit in Atlantic City with that little bit of an easterly breeze. But beyond that, rip current risks at the moderate level, that's yellow, all the way down the shore, due to that wind out of the east, tends to enhance those rip currents as they get going with that easterly breeze. So we're back to slightly higher chances of rain for tomorrow in through the weekend, but I think it drops off into next week with Monday looking nice and dry again. It's all thanks to this high pressure clearing us out, bringing back beautiful weather into this afternoon. Then we start to see a little bit of cloud cover return tomorrow, and then the heat and humidity are back with a little bit of a southerly breeze. You can see the warm front doing its job, pushing in that warmer weather from the west, and with that, likely see some extra clouds as a result. I think starting off the weekend, a little bit cloudy into Saturday, maybe a few sprinkles, but the rest of the weekend looks drier, especially by Sunday as temperatures start to cool off. It's very hot until then, though. Temperatures likely teetering on heat wave territory, getting up to about 90 degrees each day. And then into next week, the dog days of summer with the very hot weather will be upon us into Sunday and Monday. Shore points will be slightly cooler thanks to breezes off of the water and also better weather at the beaches this weekend with lots of clear sky going into next week.
All right, sir. We appreciate you. It is 69 degrees northern New Jersey, 70 degrees now in Trenton. It is 68 degrees in Cape May and 69 in Vineland. If you've noticed baseball caps with upside down logos showing up everywhere lately, you are not alone. What started as a niche streetwear trend has made its way into professional sports, golf clubs, even country clubs here in New Jersey. Joining us is fashion expert Dawn Del Russo of livetheglamour.com. That's glamour with an O-U-R, to explain why this unexpected accessory is turning heads, maybe like this, turning heads like that, and why it is suddenly everywhere. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Ken. Yeah, it's definitely
So,
popping up a lot more now.
and I actually saw it because I work a few days a week in the city for radio, and I noticed
Mm,
it the other day. I saw somebody with that was what looked like Mets caps, and the NY was upside down.
yes.
So where did it come from, and why is it everywhere now?
So it started with a brand called True Brand in Dallas around 2020. And obviously, as trends go, like what, it's almost 6 years later, and it is 6 years later, and now we're seeing it everywhere. And always when that happens, there's this like online controversy now. Like they started and now it's out because they did it 5 years, 6 years ago, and now it's not cool anymore. But it is this thing. Steph Curry, one of a very famous player, he did it, and then that was when it really exploded. We saw him do it, and then every brand started to jump on this trend, and that's exactly what happens. Once you see one famous person do it, it kind of just trickles down, and everybody starts to do it. I actually noticed it here in New Jersey. Country Club actually took it and did it as their logo, or used their logo to do that, and I thought that was so interesting because it was a streetwear brand, very like that baggy jean wearing style type of person, and now you see a country club doing it, you know the transition has somewhat happened.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I used to get upset back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, when they started wearing baseball caps backwards.
Yeah.
That was actually considered like thuggery, you know, back in the
Yes.
day. I mean, yeah, you just didn't do that. Today, it's like try to find a high school kid who doesn't wear their baseball cap on
Yeah.
backwards. That's just the way it is. But it's funny how things start. And I don't know why it was. I mean, I guess it was because if you think about it, the logic, the whole point of having the cap is to shade your eyes. And if you're wearing it backwards, like it's
Right.
illogical. It's like wearing your shorts down halfway down your ass in the inner city and you're showing your underwear. Like, all right, so it was born because poor kids didn't have pants that fit properly. And then all of a sudden it became prison thug,
Yeah.
cool or hip. And all of a sudden
Yeah.
everybody was buying pants that they could put on below their crotch. And it was so
Right.
stupid. It was like, it doesn't make sense. But this is how stuff like this is born, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why it that transition is always interesting to see it go. And I thought it was really a big one for a country club to do it. You know, that's where you can drastically see the difference. Even a New York Times writer wrote about it and said he felt like it was more merch than fashion. And there is always that
Mhm.
talk too about how something can go from really truly being a fashion item, something you wear to make a fashion statement, and now like a country club taking it on, it is becomes a little bit more merchandise that you buy to represent the brand and to shout out an interest versus showing like an interest in fashion, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
thought that that conversation was good too, because it really does show how something can move from something that you wear as just a fashion item and you like and enjoy that look, and now it's like, let's jump on this, we could sell more merchandise to do that.
And there are a number of companies now doing it, right? It's not
Oh yeah.
just the one company. So it's out there. The fact that
Yeah.
you see people walking down the streets, and pretty soon now you have the knockoffs down in wherever. Name your part of Manhattan. I don't want to besmirch any one part of Manhattan, but it's all over the place.
Exactly. And you know, it's funny. The first time I saw it, I had to think about it because I saw, why is it upside down? Was that wrong? You know, like did it get printed the wrong way? Is it just like a cool like what? And you have to stop a second when you do see it to think, am I reading it wrong? Is it like a mirror effect? But it really is completely upside down backwards when you look at the hats. And I think, you know, this is something that I feel like is definitely a fad. I don't think it's going to last long term. I feel like if you are smart and you hopped on it now, right around now, you probably could sell a decent amount of merch doing it. But I'd say this is one of those trends that in the next like year or two, you're going to see it fade off into the distance and not really be a thing anymore. So it was a quick
Well,
one.
I'm going to see what the morning's logo looks like upside down.
Yeah,
Maybe we could market that.
I
Let's see
like
if we can
it.
make a couple of bucks. We'll split it,
Yeah,
you and me,
yeah.
Don. Make
Let's
our
do it.
$8. My mother will buy one. That's about it. So maybe,
Same with
maybe
me.
she'll ask me for the $10 and then she'll send it in, and that's how
Yeah,
she'll buy it.
I
Some
love
people apparently love the look, but you already mentioned that for others it's already kind of over because when it becomes mainstream, it's no longer cool and hip. But that's kind
it.
of a natural thing in fashion,
It
right?
is. It really is. And I think the everyone in Dallas where the True Brands originated it and created it, they're like, are you serious? It's 6 years later. Why does everybody even care? We've been seeing that, you know, their street style happened 5 years ago where they saw it and it was cool and everybody jumped on it. And now they see it coming to bigger cities like New York and LA. And we're usually the ones creating the trends. I think so. When you see that happen and it's a little bit reverse where we're picking up on a trend, and I think that's only assumed that we create the trends. I do think that we just know how to hop on things in the way where no one knows that we maybe got it from somewhere else. So they do come from other small little areas of the country. But you know, when a big city like New York or LA start creating it and bringing it in, you see it a lot more because the density of the population. So that's something interesting to think about too.
If somebody wants to try the trend without looking like they're trying too hard, is there a way to do it in a subtle way?
I don't, this one, I feel like it's really out there. Like if you start seeing the writing upside down and backwards, you know that you're trying to make this happen.
Got it.
So,
How about other
yeah.
men's fashion trends you're watching right now that could be the next big thing? This is like
Yeah, I
2020
think,
all over again.
it's hard for me because I mean, you know it. I think everyone here probably knows it by this point. I love something a little bit more dressed up. I think it's cool if you're going to do a trend like this to maybe do it with less color, look for black and whites and neutrals if you want to do the baseball cap style and if you're a brand that's looking to do that. But as for men's trends, I think we're seeing athleisure, if we're tying into that a little bit, is something that is men really like it, and they're getting into a little higher end designer stuff. They're not doing the really basic, go to a local sports store and do athleisure. They're spending the money on something that is matching, like that's a couple $100, which I am very surprised by because guys weren't typically into that. They didn't really spend the money on that, and now they are. And I think if we're going away completely from that sports look and we are talking about maybe getting a little bit more dressed up, more tailored looks, definitely more tailored looks. I love it. I'm happy to see that men are taking it, not wearing something so loosely fitting, like they're doing a bit of not tight jeans, but more tailored to their body, which we haven't seen in a very long time.
I'm just glad that the trend that was around about 10 years ago, I guess, of the little cartoon character with the big smile and oh, I just did it. I just did it. I didn't mean to. It just got to happen. But the middle finger, thinking that that's cool and funny, I found like gutturally offensive. I'm serious. And
Yeah.
I would see it like people put it on the back windshield
Oh,
of
yeah.
the back window of the cars. They had it on their caps. They had it on, and they just thought it was cool and cute. And you had kids, high school kids, all over. There was every high school kid had to have a picture where they're sticking up their middle finger. I guarantee they don't even realize what it means. But it was
Oh,
so
no.
patently offensive. And like,
Yeah.
what moron thought this was a good idea to launch and make pop? But I'm just glad that one's gone. We don't even have to get
Yeah.
into that. I don't even want to talk
I
about it.
think,
The fact that I
no,
just
I
like
think
that
there's
slogan.
a lot less logos too. That's definitely a good thing. I personally think I stay away from a lot of that. So I'm glad to see guys aren't doing that as much too.
I'm with you. All right. The website is livetheglamour.com, livetheglamour.com. Just like Anna Wintour with an O-U-R, our New Jersey resident fashionista, Dawn Del Russo, our dear friend. Thank you for coming on again. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ken. See you next week.
You bet, Dawn. All right. It's 8:30 when we come back. Recognizing the signs of a stroke can mean the difference between a full recovery and a permanent disability. Very important. We're going to be talking about that next. Very good morning. It is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, 70 degrees now. It's a perfect morning, quite literally a perfect morning out. Beautiful. Welcome to a Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Cloudy today. No, not cloudy. It's going to be sunny today. I got the old forecast up there. I tell you what, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
We had so much beautiful weather to wrap up yesterday. So if we could just bottle it up and spread it all throughout the day, well, that's actually what you get with today's weather. Yesterday afternoon featured that late day clearing that dropped the humidity, brought out the sunshine, and now that continued clearing lasts throughout the day today with very comfortable conditions, especially in northwestern New Jersey, where we've seen a temperature drop from earlier today down to 20 degrees cooler than that time yesterday. Even over toward Morristown, 13 degrees cooler. Same for you in Mount Holly beach locations, also much cooler and drier. And the dry is the key considering how low the humidity will feel throughout this afternoon, especially in the northwestern corner of the state. Down the shore, still a little bit of muggy weather due to that wind off of the water. And with that today, we enjoy all of that pleasant weather. So a little bit of an extra breeze out of the east that keeps some clouds around well down the shore. Most of them should stay well offshore. But look at the temperatures responding into the upper 80s with all that sunshine. Then once we get to tomorrow, we're back to the humidity, back to more of a drizzly feel, especially with some spotty showers coming through. By tomorrow evening, winds out of the south and east, and that will push in a little bit more of that humidity as well through Thursday. Then with the breaks in the clouds for Thursday, we warm back into the 90s. It's going to be very hot, very humid. Could see some late day thunderstorms, as is usual when you have that mix of heat and humidity. And then push in 98 degrees, almost 100, triple digits by Friday afternoon. Very hot weather. Have to be near a beach to cool off, especially with that wind out of the south. And then Saturday looks to start off a bit cloudy, but I think we gradually see some clearing by late in the afternoon. So the next few days, it's not totally wash out weather every single day. We'll get some breaks of sun, but plan on a few passing storms each afternoon, especially with all of that heat and humidity as temperatures climb well into the 90s. We'll take a check of this weekend, next week's weather, coming up with another look of your New Jersey forecast.
Mike, thank you very much, sir. It is 70 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 71 in Trenton. It is 68 degrees in Cape May and 69 degrees in Vineland. 8:35 is our time, and recognizing the signs of a stroke can mean the difference between a full recovery and permanent disability. One Rutgers physician is using an unexpected tool to educate the public. Award-winning films. Joining us is Dr. Renyu Liu, who is professor and vice chair for academic affairs in the Department of Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medicine at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on. Well, it's an honor to have you on, sir. And I speak as someone who has two people very close in my life who both had strokes. My aunt and my mother, sisters. My aunt had an ischemic stroke. My mother had a hemorrhagic stroke. My aunt was about 30 minutes, I guess, before she got help. My mother was in the hospital when the stroke happened. The difference, a year later, my mother, even though she was like 80 at the time or 78, 100% healed. 100%. She had lost peripheral vision, but within a year, because it was caught immediately, 100% healed. My aunt had a little bit of challenges with the left side of her body for the rest of her life. She's since passed. But it's amazing how this is so important, right? And how quickly you catch the symptoms of a stroke. And most people don't think of filmmaking as a public health tool, but this is very, very smart. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I think you line out perfect in the stroke, type of stroke, ischemic stroke, basically a sudden onset of blockage of the blood vessel. And also you lay out another example is a stroke of hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding in the head. And also you line out very nicely, time is the essence. You see, the stroke can happen in the hospital and not in the community. And it depends how quickly you can get help. So the stroke is preventable, recognizable. This is what my focus is, because a lot of people can't recognize a stroke. And then you mentioned it's a recoverable. You give an exactly good example. It's a recoverable. As long as you get a quick recognition and get immediate treatment, that can be recovered totally. Some, as you mentioned, some people just, even don't realize that this patient had a stroke in the past. So medicine, the physician, we take care of patient one by one, but education through the modern arts, filmmaking can reach so many people. And I think it's a very good form for public education, especially for stroke, such a devastating silent killer. We use vivid stories to tell people how to recognize stroke, how to get help immediately. Call emergency phone number immediately. In the United States, call 911. So that's the background into why I want to do this, and to have a medical knowledge through art form, filmmaking, to reach more people, to get more people saved, helped, and help, have a healthy society.
Dr. Liu, one of your films actually already helped save somebody's life. Tell us what happened with that film.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. We produced one film basically addressing the issue elderly people live alone. They had a stroke, and because kids living abroad, a social issue. And also in the film, we're teaching people how to recognize stroke and how to get help immediately. So after the film was made, then we think, okay, let's go to professional filmmaking film festival. So we submitted to the New York City International Film Festival. That was, I think, 2021. About a couple of weeks later, the director of the film festival contacted me and said, "Well, Renyu, your film really touched me. I touched to tears." I said, "What happened?" He said, "My brother died at 51 years old from stroke." And then we continue to communicate. They give them awards on that. Give us the whole team, not just me, the whole team about the film. And that was in May. And in August, he texted me, "Hey, Renyu, you know what? I'm having a stroke. I didn't know anything about stroke before watching the film, but because I watched your film and I know that I'm having a stroke, I called 911 immediately." So paramedics come immediately within 10 minutes, and he was sent to the hospital. He was rescued, and they gave clot busting medication. He was total recovery, and he always helping us to promote the program. He said, "Your film saved my life." Based on his story, actually, I made another story that says, namely, "This film saved my life," based on what he was saying. So I'm hoping that this kind of filmmaking can help more people, save more life, reduce disability.
Amen. I mean, that's amazing how you've now impacted human lives based on film. Because I think a lot of people, doctor, if they're having symptoms, either they don't recognize them or they do nothing about it. They put it off because they're worried about, well, if I'm wrong, then I've bothered an ambulance. But no, the idea is let the ambulance come. Let them determine if you're having a stroke. Don't try to do it on your own, because if you're wrong, you could end up dying or being permanently disabled. But if the ambulance comes right away, you could, as you said, you could potentially even be symptomless for the rest of your life if they take care of it right away. So it's something you don't put off. If you have the tiniest bit of suspicion of a symptom, call an ambulance and get professional evaluation. Talk about some of the stroke symptoms that people should all know. What are some of those symptoms, Dr. Liu?
Yes, the common symptoms, basically, there are their acronym being used called FAST, F-A-S-T, means the face, arm, speech, the facial drooping, arm weakness, and speech, slurred speech, then call 911. Actually, it was developed by one of my friends, who is Gary Ford in Oxford University. Then we advanced further to add additional signs and symptoms, which is vision issues and balance issues. We call it a fast B. Basically, this is a new tool we're developing, fast B, BEE. We use a cartoon because the E represent emergency EMS call. So use this a new acronym. We're hoping that we can save more people. It have a very easy way to remember, and also cartoon into it. We call it a Fast B. That's a new program we're developing to try to help more people. Understand also, we one of my focus was using, try to pass the language barrier. If somebody don't get Fast B or fast or B fast, people were using English words. We convert into a new way for non-English speaking people. Called Stroke 911. We link the stroke sign and symptoms to emergency phone number because, as you mentioned, it's the don't wait, call 911. So, for example, ask people repeat a 911 if the person cannot repeat a 911. That's slurred speech or difficult understanding the words of sentence, and one uneven face, one weak arm, then call 911. So this is basically, you can use it in any language, any cultural environment. I think it's the key point, as you mentioned, I think is thank you very much to help us to promote the message. Do not wait. Call 911
That's
immediately.
And I have it in my own family as experience. Sure.
Yeah, actually, I had a story that patient, so I just drive a hospital. Anyway, she was working in the hospital, but she drove there, waited in ER for hours. So go call 911 is important, because if you go to the ER, it goes through the triage. It could potentially wait a long time, wasting critical time because the brain cells are dying constantly, quickly.
So the old saying is brain equals time, right? So the quicker that you get this stuff, they can get a clot buster drug in you, and you could, whatever damage is being done could be stopped right there. This is so essential. I just want to point out really fast, you have awareness campaigns including Stroke 120, Stroke 112, and Stroke 911. We're running out of time here, so I got to cut right to the quick, but I want people to look you up, find more information. Is there a website, doctor, for people to check out more information?
Yeah, so we do, but I can share with you later on. I guess it's not easy to say that.
We'll put it on our website only because we're out of time here, but I could tell everyone, I'm sure if they go to Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, I'm sure you could Google Dr. Renyu Liu's name. It's RENYU-LIU. So Dr. Renyu Liu, professor and vice chair for academic affairs in the Department of Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medicine at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. You have saved lives, and we appreciate what you do, doctor. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us.
Thank you very much. I just want last words. There's a lot of information in the World Stroke Organization and in the American Heart Association. There's a lot of information there. They can reach what is stroke, how to deal with stroke, how to prevent stroke. Basically, I want to say it again. Stroke is preventable, recognizable, and treatable, and recoverable.
Absolutely.
So this is a full key message. And if you recognize and learn the signs and symptoms, if you recognize signs and symptoms, call in United States 911, in Europe 112, in China 120. That's why we have Stroke 120, Stroke 112, Stroke 911 program. Basically, direct linkage of stroke signs with the emergency phone number, kind of create a knee-jerk response. This is a stroke. I'm going to call this emergency phone number. Time is essence. Time is the brain. Second counts. People say, well, the minutes count. I want to say second counts. Do it the right way.
Amen. Dr. Liu, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for helping us to promote this message.
Absolutely, sir. Enjoy the day. All right, it's 8:48 right now. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
We have one of the best weather days this week, especially if you're looking for some beach time. Enjoy all of that sunshine down the shore from Manahawkin to Atlantic City and points south like Cape May. Lovely amounts of clear weather. With that, a little bit of a breeze cooling you off at the beaches. It'll be feeling a little bit warmer inland, but not terrible with the heat and humidity that started off yesterday and made it feel very, very gusty. So throughout this afternoon, a little bit of a breeze down the shore, but beyond that, most of New Jersey staying dry, and that tends to welcome the bugs back, even with the pest activity a little bit higher at the moderate level, thanks to all of that rainfall from the last few days. Good news is it knocked the pollen levels back down to the low level. Likely see the late summer and fall allergens begin to appear in the next few days. As far as today's high, we'll likely get back up into the 90s. It's a little bit above average, but far from the record, and a dry day for a change after so many soaking rounds of rain with the flooding the last few days, especially on yesterday. So all of these clouds shifting eastward, water temperatures staying in the mid to upper 70s, cooling off a little bit in Atlantic City with that little bit of an easterly breeze. But beyond that, rip current risks at the moderate level, that's yellow, all the way down the shore, due to that wind out of the east, tends to enhance those rip currents as they get going with that easterly breeze. So we're back to slightly higher chances of rain for tomorrow in through the weekend, but I think it drops off into next week with Monday looking nice and dry again. It's all thanks to this high pressure clearing us out, bringing back beautiful weather into this afternoon. Then we start to see a little bit of cloud cover return tomorrow, and then the heat and humidity are back with a little bit of a southerly breeze. You can see the warm front doing its job, pushing in that warmer weather from the west, and with that, likely see some extra clouds as a result. I think starting off the weekend, a little bit cloudy into Saturday, maybe a few sprinkles, but the rest of the weekend looks drier, especially by Sunday as temperatures start to cool off. It's very hot until then, though. Temperatures likely teetering on heat wave territory, getting up to about 90 degrees each day. And then into next week, the dog days of summer with the very hot weather will be upon us into Sunday and Monday. Shore points will be slightly cooler thanks to breezes off of the water and also better weather at the beaches this weekend with lots of clear sky going into next week.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. 71 degrees right now up and down the state of New Jersey. Most professionals, entrepreneurs, and executives, or more at least, are discovering that constant hustle can come at the expense of their health, relationships, and overall happiness. Joining us today is Brandon Pipkin, who is a growth advisor and co-author of Rock Your Business, to discuss why redefining success may be the key to building a career and a life you can truly enjoy. Good morning, Brandon. Good to have you on.
Morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, very important because I think we all know those people who just burn the candle at both ends. They work around the clock. They think it's always business, 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 business. And then they end up, they're shocked when their spouse leaves them and the kids don't want to talk to them later. And they end up having a miserable life because they're married to their business. We often hear if you work hard enough, success brings happiness, but that isn't always the case, is it?
Yeah, Ken, we have been sold a bill of goods in this country. And to a degree, great, wonderful advice. Go to school, get a good job, get a mortgage, get a car, work until retirement, look forward to traveling then. But the problem is we get so engrossed in that process, and we have such a hustle culture in today's environment that we think that we have to put the nose to the grindstone right now without coming up for air. And we create a situation that we don't really like. We create a life that we don't really love. And we do it all in pursuit of this. When we finish at 65, we can retire and travel the world. Well, our bodies are less available to us at that point in time. We have more maladies, etc. And so it really drives this, well, I've got to hustle right now and I've got to put in everything right now then to make sure that I can enjoy at that point or maybe even before then and get ahead of everybody. And what it creates is a lot of burnout and a lot of fatigue within people. And it gets promoted on social media too. The hustle culture, go, 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 and people are burning out at rates that we've never seen before.
And you talk about the hidden downside now of hustle culture. So, what are some of the warning signs that people need to look out for that chasing success is at an unhealthy cost?
Yeah, so several years ago, when I wrote my book, 21 Questions for 21 Millionaires, I interviewed Richard Zuschlag, a very successful gentleman who had started Acadian Ambulance. If anybody is from Louisiana or Texas, they may know that name. It's a very large ambulance organization. And when I asked him, how did you balance family with building this successful organization? He teared up and he said, I didn't do it very well. I sent my assistant to my son's state golf tournament because I was too busy to attend. And then he started crying and he said, my wife is a saint and she stuck with me and I am so grateful for that. So one of the signs that you're getting to that unhealthy point is you're prioritizing other things above and beyond important family events. Now, of course, you've got to work. You can't make every birthday. You can't make every event. But if you're missing important events because you're justifying that you've got to get this thing done or you've got to roll into this thing and hustle, that's probably a burnout point. You can also feel it internally when you just don't have that motivation, or when the weekend is almost as overwhelming as the week because your nervous system is trying to catch up.
Interesting. And a lot of entrepreneurs I know spend years building a business only to ultimately realize, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you wonder, is there a point when that happens, or is it kind of gradual?
I think it's gradual. The business owners we work with are typically $20 million plus businesses, and they're at a point where they're still trying to make things work. They only have two gears, by the way, people who build $20 million plus businesses. Extraordinarily on, fast-paced, and sleeping, and they don't sleep that much. They do at times prioritize their health and sleep well, but because they just are go, 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 they figure that when they start wearing down, that something is wrong and they're just going to fix it. These are problem solvers, people who know how to get stuff done. So they go into fix-it mode and don't realize that what they're doing is they're putting even more time, more effort, energy into this solving the problem. And it's not going to be fixed that way. In fact, when we start working with these business owners, one of the first things we have to do is help them upgrade the team around them so that they can then relieve some of that burden and stop being the bottleneck and start enjoying some of the things that they've built.
Interesting. And now, if somebody feels stuck, where do they begin? Do they just say, all right, tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z? Or do they maybe take a day a week and say, this is going to be the day I set aside. I'll turn off the phone and I'll spend time with my family. What's the best first step?
One of our clients, a $100 million plus organization, wisely, the CEO made a policy that there are no meetings on Friday afternoons, and this is personal development time. And the idea is you're going to be doing some sort of personal development, whether it be reading a book, attending a seminar, doing other things that are not checking email or going to meetings. And then by keeping that time, call it sacred, what he's promoting is we will have a balanced lifestyle here at this organization. We also have other clients who make family a part of the work organization. And so it's not a question of, can I take off 15 minutes early to go to my son's soccer game? It's assumed, it's promoted, it's, oh, we all know Billy, wish him luck at the soccer game. And even sometimes the others at the organization are coming with. Now, when you have that kind of an environment, you get much more done during the workday and you're much more productive while you're there. Michael Goodnight, the founder of SAS in North Carolina, software, he understood that. And he was one of the first people to build a campus around human needs with a barbershop and daycare right on site. And it wasn't because he wanted his employees to work longer hours. It was because he thought it was so ridiculous that somebody would go during their lunch break to get a haircut or go after hours when it was their family time. He said, just do it right now while you're here with us. And ultimately, productivity increases when that happens. So if you're not a business owner and you're an individual, one thing I would encourage you to do is take stock of the hours that you're working and start to carve out those little moments where you put the phone away, turn it on silent, Those are some of the best days I've had in the last several years. Turn it on silent, turn it off, and just have 20 minutes of uninterrupted time with the people you care about.
Working in broadcasting the years I've done now, almost 40 years. I remember years ago applying for uh, Bloomberg Television. I remember walking into their building at Brandon, and you walked through a buffet. So they literally had hot food out. Then off to one side, they had a glass enclosed daycare center so people could bring their children right there and keep an eye all day on the kids while they were working.
Isn't that
And they
great?
had pet care, they had a dry cleaner. It was literally a community in the office setting. And if you needed to get out early, all I had to do was say, I need to get out early today. As it turns out, without forcing people, they had people staying 2 extra hours a day just because they felt everything is here, and they were with family and they got stuff done. Just an innovative approach. And that's why Bloomberg's a billionaire. We are out of time. We want everybody to be able to buy the book too. What's a website for the book or more info?
Rock Your Business is available at Amazon.com in all of its formats. Autobahnconsultants.com is the website. Autobahn spelled like the German highway.
Awesome. Co-author Brandon Pipkin, growth advisor, brilliant man. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
You bet. And that'll do it for On New Jersey. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.